Last month, some members of Congress who have downplayed the significance of the Jan. 6 insurrection gathered outside the Justice Department to get answers, they said, about the treatment of people arrested for allegedly storming the Capitol. Even though the press conference by Reps.Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, and Louie Gohmert didn't get very far, it was memorably ended by protesters and a persistent man with a whistle, Matt Braynard, who was not a part of the event, would still like to take credit for it. Braynard, who worked for Trump for 5 months on the 2016 campaign before he was let go, has been Forrest Gumping his way through the post-election Trump universe. In December, he testified alongside Rudy Giuliani alleging mass voter fraud in Arizona. A week later, he told legislators in Georgia that he'd found 21,000 illegal ballots in the state. He was a paid expert witness in 3 cases challenging the election results, none of which went anywhere. Long after Trump left office, he has continued releasing reports of illegal ballots in Wisconsin and Georgia and is working on one for Arizona, all states where pro-Trump Republicans have pushed for so-called audits of the election. Now, he's trying to position himself at the head of the Jan. 6 counter-narrative, and he says he's raising a lot of money doing it. Braynard has cast the Trump supporters who mobbed the Capitol as political prisoners, and has spent months building up a protest movement that he hopes will culminate in a rally that he says he'll host on Sept. 18 at the Capitol, right where it started. Braynard has been hosting smaller protests on behalf of the Capitol rioters for 2 months, including one at the DOJ and another at the DC jail. He has written to DOJ and the FBI calling on them to release all of the nonviolent defendants, arguing that they were peacefully protesting in a public building. He has had supporters read letters from the incarcerated and has railed against the DC jail's decision to keep the accused rioters in solitary confinement, something, he notes, prominent Democrats agree with him on.
He's raised conspiracy theories about the government's and left-wing infiltrators' involvement in the events of Jan. 6 and contributed to the right's canonization of Ashley Babbitt, the Trump supporter who was shot and killed inside the Capitol. "This is the modern civil rights struggle of our time," he told BuzzFeed News in an email. Braynard says he measures his success by the fact that some members of Congress are hosting similar protests and writing their own letters to DOJ now. In an interview Thursday, he also took credit for Trump's focus on Babbitt in recent press statements. "You see President Trump now asking about Ashley Babbitt and what happened to her. We believe this is because of our organization's efforts to bombard state legislators demanding answers by holding these events." Gaetz's office declined to comment when asked if Braynard had inspired the press conference at DOJ. The offices of the other members who attended did not respond. Gosar has spoken at previous protests related to Jan. 6 that Braynard has hosted, however. Braynard has big plans for his September Capitol protest. He says he'll have the largest stage he is allowed, along with a giant screen that will present evidence that's not been allowed to be presented in any of the hearings that have been held so far on Capitol Hill. Members of Congress will speak, he says, but he won't share names.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe,